Sonoma Sierra.
My name is Robert Louis Getz Jr. Known to most as Bob, known to some as Bobby G, known to four as Papa, known to one as Robbie. I am one of those few independent TV producers with NutmegTV, a small community access television company located within this great state of Connecticut and in a town called Farmington. But this isn't just about me. I could tell you about my ancestry from the time they exited from the Mayflower at Plymouth Rock on my dad's side. I could tell you about my ancestry that had a major contribution within the American colonies during the Revolutionary War and through the next 200 plus years. But this isn't just about my family. I could start telling you about the preparation being drafted by a committee of 5, 3 of whom were Thomas Jefferson of Virginia, the originator, John Adams of Massachusetts, our second president, and Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania, Ambassador to France. But this isn't just solely about these men. But what I will tell you is that the beginning of this formal statement being drafted in itself is probably the single most recognizable phrase ever placed within a document, which defines the purpose of said document and reiterates that the ultimate authority rests with the people and not the government. It reads as follows: "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." In short, this Constitution, our Constitution, is the cornerstone and God-given right to our freedoms with liberty from all foreign and domestic tyranny and terror who try to exercise their intentions upon us. Those 3 simple, elegant, and yet to the point words make up what we stand for. For we are the United States of America. We are American strong.
I'd like to welcome you to this 4th of July. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what it means to me. When I was 17 years old, I went in the Army. And I was proud to be an American then, as I am now. I fought in the Vietnam War, lost some friends, as many of us did. The one thing I regret is that where we stand now versus where we stood as people back in 1863, when President Abraham Lincoln gave us the Gettysburg Address. I'd like to read a little something here from Senator Charles Sumner that he wrote back in June 1st, 1865, when Charles commented on what is now considered the most famous speech by President Abraham Lincoln in his eulogy on the slain president. He called it a monumental act. He said Lincoln was mistaken, that the world will little note nor long remember what we say here. Rather, the Bostonian remarked, the world noted at once what he said and will never cease to remember it. The battle itself was less than the speech. Now we all remember, because we have Iran, we have Afghanistan, we had Korea, we had Vietnam, and we've all been a part of that. Now let's look back on what was. Abraham Lincoln said, 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether the nation or nations so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as final resting place for those who here gave their life that the nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggle here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. We cannot let this happen. Thank you.
that won't change my mind. For I'm a die-hard American, I'll be here till the end of time. I fought for our freedom like true Americans do, not like those with money who don't care about me or you. Yes, I'm true. True American. So as we stand together for what we believe, knowing we can make a change, that change will set us free, then we'll be free. Yes, free. True American. You can take the word of our God and remove it from our schools, and remove it from the government, which makes for hillbound rule. For he is with us always, and always he will be, not like disbelievers, for he will set us free like true. True Americans. So as we stand together for what we believe, knowing we can make a change, that change will set us free, then we'll be free. True Americans. So you can take my flag and burn it, that won't change my mind. I'm a die-hard American, I'll be here till the end of time. We fought for our freedom like true Americans do, and in our hearts as we salute the red, white, and blue, we'll stand together, me and you. True Americans. True.
All right. How we doing, folks? Hope you're enjoying your 4th of July this year. I'd just like to kind of go back a little bit in time here, back to 1960, when John F. Kennedy was elected as president, and then in January 1961 he gave his inaugural speech. At that time I was 10 years old, and my good friend Jim O'Hare, which you'll hear from in a little bit, he's going to be reading about 7 minutes of that 14-minute speech that John Kennedy gave. And the miraculous thing here you got to look at is that 52 years later, what he said then is evident today. Okay? What I'm going to read for you now is a little bit about the weather and how things went down and all that before Jim comes on and reads that 7 minutes for you. Okay? Now, heavy snow had been falling that night, and before the inauguration, but thoughts about canceling the plans were kind of overruled. Now, election of 1960 had been closed, and the Democrat senator from Massachusetts was eager to gather support for his agenda. He attended Holy Trinity Catholic Church in Georgetown that morning before joining President Eisenhower to travel to the Capitol. Now, can you imagine? President Eisenhower was still there. Okay? Now, the path of office was administered by Chief Justice Earl Warren, and Robert Frost read one of his poems at that ceremony. That, my friends, will lead you into what happened 52 years ago. Enjoy it.
Vice President Johnson, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chief Justice, President Eisenhower, Vice President Nixon, President Truman, Reverend clergy, fellow citizens. We observe today not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change. For I have sworn before you and Almighty God the same solemn oath our forebears prescribed nearly a century and 3/4 ago. The world is a very different place now, for man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life. And yet the same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought are still an issue around the globe. The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. We dare not forget today that we are the heirs of that first revolution. Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans. Born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by a hard and bitter peace, and proud of our ancient heritage, and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed, and to which we are committed today at home and around the world. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, and oppose any foe in order to assure the survival and the success of liberty. To the World Assembly of Sovereign States, the United Nations, our last best hope in any age where the instruments of war have far outpaced the instruments of peace. We renew our pledge of support to prevent it from becoming merely a form of invective, to strengthen its shield of the new and the weak, and to enlarge the area in which its right may run. In your hands, my fellow citizens, more than in mine, will rest the final success or failure of our course. Since this country was founded, each generation of Americans has been summoned to give testimony to its national loyalty. The graves of young Americans who answered the call surround the globe. Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are, but a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for freedom of man. finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judgment of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking His blessing and His help, but knowing that here on earth God's work must truly be our own.
Just one man trying to do what he can. I'm keeping time with a nursery rhyme. I'm walking on a fine line. Yes, I'm walking on a fine line. Well, I walked in across town over the hill just to see what I could see. A land so far and so wide, it was a land of the free. It was a land of the free, and it belongs to you and me. Our fathers fought for you and me in the land of the free. In the land of the free, you can be who you want to be. You can love or you can leave. In the land of the free. Foreign fields at night we lie, looking up to the sky, a dream in our hearts and fear in our eyes, praying for the light of day. All for the land of the free, and it belongs to you and me. Our fathers fought for you and me in the land of the free. In the land of the free, you can be who you want to be. You can love or you can leave. In the land of the free. 100 years down the line, looking back, I see it shine. If we try to bend our way, we might live another day. Well, these are the words of just one man trying to do what he can. Keeping time with a nursery rhyme. I'm walking on a fine line. Yes, I'm walking on a fine line. In the land of the free, it belongs